So I built this Harley Quinn hammer that you can actually use to smash stuff, and I'm going to show you how I did it. Now before I start, you might be thinking that the actual mallet head is a lot smaller than what you would traditionally see on a Harley Quinn mallet. Usually they're enormous, but I worked out that because of a thing called gravity, you can't have a log the size of a person on the end of a handle the size of a broomstick. Anyway, let's get started. So first of all, I needed some wood to actually make the mallet head. Now I decided to just find a tree that had fallen down and cut a stump out of that. It is a lot more work than buying a stump, but also it's free. When I got the stump home, I removed the bark and then it needed a lot more shaping. I didn't want a perfect cylindrical shape for the mallet head, but I didn't want it to be too wacky either. So I just marked that out and just began sawing away till it was the way I wanted. When I finished with the sawing, I used a knife to round out some of the edges that needed it, and I used sandpaper to go around the surface. Not too much though, because I wanted to keep that rough wood grainy look. Then I used a drill with a spade bit to drill the hole where the handle would go. You could also use a hole saw instead of a spade bit, but either one would really work. Usually I don't like to use electric tools on this channel, but this would have been a real pain to do by hand. Then it was time to work on the handle. Now for the handle, I bought quite a thick rake handle. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, the handles on the Harley Quinn mallets, they're always really thin. So I had to find a balance between something that was strong enough to hold the mallet head, but thin enough to match the look of a Harley Quinn hammer. I sanded the varnish off the handle and I also cut it to the size that I wanted. Also, I cut a 2-inch slit in the top of the handle, and you'll see why I did that in just a second. To attach the mallet head to the handle, I coated the top of the handle with some contact cement and also the inside of the mallet head with contact cement. Then I just stuck it in. Before that had dried, I got a small wedge of pine and just hammered it into that slit that I cut at the top of the handle. The purpose of this is that it kind of wedges the handle in there to minimize the risk of it just flying off when you're swinging it around. When it's in as far as it can go, you just kind of saw off the excess and smooth it all out. I also cut out this donut shape from a piece of spare pine I had lying around and contact cemented it to the bottom of the mallet head. There's no point of that, it's just to look cool. Then it was time to start painting. Now I painted the whole thing first with a burnt sienna brown color. That was just to kind of blend the pieces all together, because at this point I had used 3 different types of wood. Then I started just painting on some of the details and decorations. I don't think I really need to go through with you how painting works. You put paint on the end of a brush and then you just draw the thing that you want. Basically, I took inspiration from a whole bunch of different hammers and just added that to my hammer. I also used spray paint for some of it. You know how spray paint works, you press the button. I added some grip tape to the bottom of the handle where I will be gripping it, and I dirtied it up with some watered down black acrylic paint. I also added that look to the whole hammer, just watered down some acrylic and just smudged it all in just to make the hammer look like it's a bit more used. And then it was done. Now at the same time this video is going up, I'm also putting up a video where I test out what's better for smashing stuff, a Harley Quinn mallet or a Harley Quinn bat. You can click right there and it'll open a new tab, or it's probably somewhere else around on the page if you look for it. So be sure to go watch that. Also subscribe to me because I rule.